This teaching is talking about season of brokenness. Now I told you, I said everybody has either dealt with having a broken bone or some type of hairline fracture. Well, let me explain the difference in those. It really isn't none. But a hairline fracture, also known as a stress fracture, is a small crack or severe bruise within a bone. It's like a little small crack in your bone that it ain't where your arm is out of place because it's been completely broken, but it's a crack in there enough to cause you some discomfort. Or it may have severe bruising in there. A broken bone is called a fracture. Bones commonly they commonly break when they cannot withstand a trauma or force applied to them. So like if you fall on your arm, the force from that generally will break that bone. Okay, now the common types of fractures, and we're going to look at this in a spiritual sense. So we're going to look at the fractures that goes on. The oblique fracture, this type of fracture has an angle pattern. So it's kind of like, it's like your bone may be like this, and then part of it has been separated from the straight bone. It's at an angle. Okay? Now generally, let's take for instance your rib cage. If it get that sharp edge like that, it can pierce your heart and kill you. So that sharp edge is dangerous when it's at an angle like that. But oblique fracture is a fracture that has an angle pattern. Spiritually, the church is broken from the body upward. See, it's together, body, and then it's going upward. Okay, and that's going upward towards the head. So when you're dealing with an oblique fracture, that means that the body is not in order and it's starting to affect the head. Because remember, it's fractured at an angle. So it's starting at the body and head towards the head. So that's when you got different people in the church and they want to argue, they want to fuss with each other, or they want to constantly be going to the head complaining about everybody else in there. Now they ain't doing nothing wrong. They don't understand why everything is happening, why people looking at them the way they is, why they don't want to have anything to do with them, because they ain't doing nothing wrong. It's everybody else's fault but theirs. So you got a lot of that going on within the church. And without learning proper steps of what to do, the bones can begin to heal. They cannot begin to heal beside each other. They begin to heal beside each other instead of fusing back in place. So in other words, when it heals, it's healing like this. It's still at that angle. It's not coming back in place to heal. Amos 3:3. Can someone read that for me? Amos 3:3.
Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Okay, so healing can't begin if not properly fused together. If two people is not in agreement with each other, healing can't happen. If two people is not walking that path in agreement with each other, healing cannot happen. So that's why you see a lot of time churches are putting a band-aid on a situation, or they like, okay, we just gonna throw this one under the rug and we're gonna keep on going, and then eventually that angle begin to pierce something because it done fused that way. So now it began to pierce something, and then you wonder now why all of a sudden it seems like all hell done broke loose. Because you done swept so much stuff under the rug can't take no more. Now somebody done stepped on it and it's coming out from under the rug. Now you see little dust balls going everywhere, and you like, oh my God, where did all this come from? That's all that stuff you done swept under the rug. So, in order for healing to begin, when you are dealing with an oblique fracture, that bone has to be fused back together. In other words, the church has to come into a place of agreement in order for healing to begin. They have to come to a place of agreement. Okay, the next fracture is called an open fracture. This is when the skin may be pierced by the bone, which breaks the skin at the time of the fracture. So sometimes you may see a person's bone get broken and it comes through their skin. It ain't the prettiest sight to see. But sometimes that bone got broken so bad it actually comes through the skin. And you can see that broken bone through the skin. That is called an open fracture. Now let's look at that in a spiritual sense. Spiritually, this is when the hidden problem has broken through. Remember, I was telling you about how we just as a church, we just sweep things under the rug. And then it begins to build up on that rug, right? So eventually, somebody going to step on that rug, and then that's when that bone comes through that skin. So that's when you start to see all of these little problems start to resurface. And you're like, dang, I thought we swept that under the rug. What happened? And now it's starting to resurface. And now you back to you don't know what to do. And now it seems like it's bigger than it was when you first swept it under the rug. Okay, look at Numbers 32 and 23. And it reads, but if you will not do so, behold, you have sinned against the Lord. And be sure your sin will find you out. This is, when you're looking at it as an individual, this is when a person they take the abuse, they take the whoopings, they take the cussing, they take the belittling, they take the constant arguing with you. They take all of that, they take inside. And eventually it begins to pierce through. Because a person can only take so much. And we're using the scripture about your sin will find you out. That's simply saying, no matter what you do, God sees everything. Yeah. But that time is going to come when others see the real you. If your intentions ain't right. But that is known as an open fracture. When you're dealing with the church, that is when, like I said, it seemed like all hell done broke loose. Because you done swept so much under the rug, or in our case, under the podium. You done swept so much under there, till now it can't sit properly. And there's a big old lump, and one little bit of pressure gonna cause it to come through that skin. All right, community fracture. In this type of fracture, the bone shatters into several pieces. So eventually now, when that all that stuff that we done swept under the rug begin to come up, like I said, you see little dust balls going everywhere, and you wonder, what's all this mess? Where's all this coming from? And it just seems like all hell broke loose. That's when you're dealing with the community fracture, because it done shattered into many pieces. Now spiritually, this is when the church is in serious trouble. This is at the place where the church just simply quit trying. And if you're dealing with a person, that's when a person just simply quit trying. Have you ever been at a place, or you know someone who's been at a place where they just simply quit? They say, I can't do it no more, I quit. And I ain't talking about quitting no job. I'm talking about quitting the church or maybe quitting life.